the shul of Beis Menachem in Miami Beach, which goes on for many years already. We try now to do it that it should fit to the project Likkutei Sichos, if it can. Not always we'll be able to. Sometimes we'll learn a different Sicha. So we're going to learn the Sichos Rosh Hashanah Celek Yudalad. Happens to be connected to this year because it talks about Yontif Shel Rosh and Shcholi is V'Shabbos. This year Rosh Hashanah is a Shabbos. That's one Nekudah. And I want to say another Nekudah, that B'chlal, this is a Sicha, more Achsidish Sicha. It's not a simple Sicha. It's a Yonim Chassidus. The whole thing is based on Yonim Chassidus. But I want to say that this Sicha is also not part of the regular series of Likkutei Sichos when it came out weekly. That was Magia weekly Sichos, so the Sichos from Celek Yu to Yudalit are from the Kuntresim that the Rebbe was Magia through the year Tovshin Lamed Gimel and Tovshin Lamed Daled. So every Parsha has two Sichos because it's in 2 years. So here we have an extra Sicha Rosh Hashanah because Nitzovim has two Sichos, and Vayelech has two Sichos, and Azinu has two Sichos, and this extra one. What happened, if I remember correctly, in the year Tovshin Lamed Beis, when the Rebbe did not give out Likkutei Sichos, it was Magia that year, but sometimes after Fabrengens, Rebbe was Magia the Sicha, not also Likkutei Sichos separately. And all those Sichos from then went into the Hisofis of Likkutei Sichos and the different Krochim. But like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, that there are some Sichos, very few, that were written, even though it was a Hanocha from the Fabrengen, but it was basically a style of Likkutei Sichos. Likkutei Sichos is a different style. It's not like you speak. It's more like a sefer. And that was written that same way. So we decided that that will go in the sefer, in the Pnim, not in the Isofis. And I said last time that anything going into Isofis is not learned as much. Some people give a look at this, but you don't make like now even. There's a project with the Sichos on the sefer. It's only up to the Isofis. The Isofis are not part of it. So people don't really learn it. But if it's in the Pnim, it's part like now. This Sicha, we are learning as part of the project with the Sichos. So I'm saying that's why those Sichos, like this one, that would fit into the style of the Seder, went into it. And if you look in the front, it says which year it came out. So it says that this Sicha was printed in the year, it's a Sicha that Rebbe Lamed Gimel printed Lamed Hey. Actually, Lamed Hey, the Rebbe didn't give for the Sichos. So from that time, that went into the Sefer. Anyway, this is just a historical thing that I want to say. Okay, we'll start inside. Yontif Sheni Shel Rosh Hashanah, Choluk of Yontif Sheni Sheshala Yom Tevim. The second day of Yontif of Rosh Hashanah is different than the second day of the other Yom Tevim. B'shaychusei leYontif Rishnu letzem techem leMyon Shel Chag. In how it's connected to the first day. In other words, the second day is always connected to the first day. It's the second day to the first. But that inyan of, and it's also connected, it's Yontif. So the second day of Rosh Hashanah, in its relationship to the first day, and B'chlal to the union of what Rosh Hashanah is different than every other second day of Yontif. Okay, moving Aloha Lamaisa, we see it in actual Aloha. Everyone is equal, so that's like a thing for everybody. And the order the Rebbe says that other Halokim Torah is not mamash for everybody, but Halacha is something every Yid is the same Halacha. The Mela, that is something that shows on the etzem of the Inyan. So we see a Halacha, the second day of Rosh Hashanah, different than the second day of every Yontif. That Shanele v'anichle b'yem alav the Rosh Hashanah, also gam b'yem beis Rosh Hashanah. That anything that was born on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, or like milk, nichlav, you milk the cow, the milk came milk on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, or eggs that the chicken laid on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, you can't eat it on the second day either. Every other Yontif you could. Because where did the din of second day Yontif come? Chumash it only says 1 day. Because in the time, years, when they had the Sanhedrin, so when people lived far, they didn't know when Bezdin established Rosh Chodesh. And there were places that, how did Bezdin notify? They would send messengers. It took time. So some places, by the time the second day of the month came, they already heard. The third day of the month. There were some places that even by the 15th day of the month, they still haven't heard when is Rosh Chodesh. So when it came the 15th day of Pesach, of Nisan, they didn't know it's today the 15th or it's tomorrow the 15th. So the question always is which of the 2 days. So they made 2 days Yontif. But really, when we say 2 days Yontif when it's made, it was like not 2 days Yontif. We don't know which one, so we made 2, but really it's only 1. So if something was, let's say, milk that was milked on the first day of Yontif, so you can't use it. But the second day you could use. Why? If the first day was Yontiv, so today is not Yontiv anymore. So you could use it because it's all connected to Muktzah, it's Neilat. On the other hand, if the second day is Yontiv, there's also no problem because the milk was milked out of Yontiv because the first day was not really Yontiv. But on Rosh Hashanah, we don't say it. Rosh Hashanah, what is milked or created on the first day of Yontiv is also on the second day. Mitam, the reason is that the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah is not like two separate days, it's like one long day. The Mela, whatever is on the first, is also the second, it's all like the one day. Ubifrat, if you pnimis yonim, certainly when we look in the Chassidish Pshat, Isa Likkutei Torah, it says in Likkutei Torah al the Posik, Yechayenu miyamayim, you made us live the 2 days. So it says there in Likkutei Torah, the Yamayim and Beis Yomim Shel Rosh Hashanah. It goes on the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Ki Rosh Hashanah La'elam Beis Yomim. Rosh Hashanah is always 2 days. Afila Bizman Shoy Mekach No Piyariya. Even those times when they were Mekadesh every month, Rosh Hashanah was always 2 days. When you see in the order 4, the Rebbe explains how it is. Because it was always, since Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the month, so let's look at this. Eretz Yisrael, even the people in Eretz Yisrael did not know when they made Rosh Chodesh. If let's say the first day is Rosh Chodesh, that's 29 days of Elul finished, and the next day is the question, is today Rosh Chodesh or tomorrow? So came the first day. If it was Rosh Chodesh that day, who knew about it? They couldn't notify. Even in Eretz Yisrael, they couldn't notify. The Bez knew about it in Yerushalayim. But how did people in another city know about it? Taka didn't. So the other people had to keep it as Yontif, in case it is. And then the second day, because maybe the second day is. In some places, they didn't find out till the second day. So even that it's Israel, and even in Yerushalayim, some years it was 2 days. Not to go into the details. So it shows that Be'etzim Rosh Hashanah, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah is not like all them tables, like a Sveik of the Yom, it's a Suffolk. It also came from a Suffolk. But since that's how it was always, the Mela, that means that that's the concept of Rosh Hashanah, these 2 days. Okay, it says, look at the Torah, you know, it says in Chassidus on Rosh Hashanah, the Elomis have an Aliyah, and it's on both days. The first day is the Pnimius of the Elomis go up, the second day the Chetzonius, which means, we understand, so that shows that they're both the same meaning, Aliyah Elomis, that the Elomis go up into higher levels. But there are two details. First day one inyan, the second day another inyan, but it's all the same inyan. In that same inyan, 2 separate days. And you have the order 5 that Rebbe says why sometimes Bisman Beis Hamikdash there was 1 day in Yerushalayim. But the bottom line is that the fact that it's always 2 days. It says someplace even Chazal say that it goes back all the way in the Midbar, I think he says that goes. I don't remember how. Maybe the Rebbe brings it here. I don't see. That this inyan that Rosh Hashanah was 2 days was done all the ways in, not like all other Dinei D'Rabbanan, which were made years later. This is a Din D'Rabbanan, so to speak. The Torah says 1 day Rosh Hashanah, but it goes back all the way. So the inyan of the second day Rosh Hashanah in relationship to the first is very close. There's something that together they bring out a real point together because they're not, they're one thing. This connection that we say, that the second day Rosh Hashanah, its relationship to the first day, that it's like connected very close to the first day. And it's part of the real Yontif. It's not like the second day Yontif of other Yontif, which is really a suffix. This is mamish part of the Yontif. The keresam is bataz beyeses eis the kviyas the shonazu. We could see, and it expresses itself more in the kviyas like this year, which it says in the bottom of the Sicha was said in the year Tov Shalom and Gimel. When Yontif of Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos, then you see more the importance of the second day of Yontif in relationship to the first and into the relationship to the Yontif. That the inyan of Yontif of Rosh Hashanah express itself even more in the second day, as we will see. And this is how the Rebbe explains. The davening of Rosh Hashanah, we say, this is the day which is the beginning of your actions, Loshen Rabim, which is not. Rosh Hashanah is not the day that the Maisim of the Eibishter, which is the creation of the world, started. It started Chof Hei Elul. Rosh Hashanah was the day the Adam Rishon was born. So why do we say this is the beginning of your Maisecho? The Mizeh Shenemer Maisecho Loshen Rabim, it says Maisecho, your action means everything. Move, we understand, says Zeh Hayem, It's not only the beginning, which let's use the Gashman's word, the anniversary of when the Adam was created. It's the anniversary, which means it's the anniversary of the beginning of everything. Even those things that were created in the 5 days before Adam Rishon. Like it says in the Maimorim of Rosh, it says the Sinyan, this Nekuda, that it's not only, even though physically they were not created on Rosh Hashanah, so the anniversary of their creation is not Rosh Hashanah, every first 5 days, but because of Adam Rishon was created on that day, and it's his anniversary of creation, this means everything is that creation, that day, the anniversary. Why? Hainu, the Rebbe teaches it always. When we say that on Rosh Hashanah, the whole creation gets renewed, which means on the day of its creation comes, it gets renewed for another year. That's not only concerning the Adam, the person. It goes in everything, all the worlds and all these stalshalas. If it's their creation, if it's the anniversary and the ischachas of the day they were created, so why is it on Rosh Hashanah? No. Nevertheless, we see that the day Adam Rishon was created, we consider that the day of their creation. The reason is because the purpose of the ishtalshalos of all the worlds, the tzimtzumim of all the worlds, the mesochim and parsois, these are the separations between one world and the other. So there's so many inyonim that we say the ishtalshalos. All of that is for one purpose, in order to get this world. The David should have a dwelling place in this world, so the whole kavanah is only for this world. And for that, we'll see why it's considered the day of its creation is considered when Adam was created. Goes into this nekuda. When we say the kavanah of the creation was because David had a desire to have a dwelling place in this low world, there are two pratim in it, two inyonim in it. Number one, first of all, part of that statement we don't understand. What don't we understand? Why did Hashem want it? We say Hashem had a desire that his place should be down here. Why? There's no reason for it. It's beyond any reason. This is what they wish to desire. That's what he wanted. Like it says in Samachov, the expression that Alter Rebbe said, he once asked Alter Rebbe, you say that David had this desire to have a tachdira v'tachteini. Why? So he said, Loshen in Medrash is nisavo, Loshen taive. Afar taive nishtok in kasher. There's no kasher. Shekavon zui l'mayla mekol tam, which means that the purpose, the reason why he wanted it is beyond any reason. And we can't go into the arichas of it. It means it's beyond giving any reason. That goes back beyond reasons. That means any reason you'll give, because sometimes you might think there's something that we don't know the reason. It's such a deep opinion that we can't figure out the reason. Our brain can't. That's not the pshat here. The pshat here, it's not begetted any reason. It's mayom mitam v'das. And there are Yuri managed to explain it. But that's one thing. Why David wanted David explain. But the second thing, what he wanted, we do know. We know what he wanted. That the tachlis of the whole creation of everything is in order to have a dir b'tachtonim. But if for that only, the question is, if the whole purpose of everything is only for Elam Hazeh, so why did we need all the elements in between? David could have create only tachtonim, only the low world. Why do you need everything between? The pshat is like this. David did not only want, the bottom line, that he should have a dir b'tachtenim. David wanted that it should be made, that the bruyim from down here, from tachtenim, which is basically the Eden, should be the ones to bring about the dir b'tachtenim. Kloimer, meaning that the Eden should do work to make a dir b'tachtenim. וזה אפשרי is רק על יסבוסם באופן שקודם להם כל סדר השתלשל של האלמס. And in order for that to happen, you need all the elements, והדרגוסם, and all the madregas, מלמעלה למטה, all the way up to down. כמבואר בדרך, like it says in Chassidus, it says in the bottom of Ha'ara 8, ויהי המשך סמך ווב. And בכלל, it's explained this nekuda, that if there wouldn't be seder ishtalshlis, also it needs a lot of explanation. I'm just going to say the words that if not for seder ishtalshlis, Yidden wouldn't have this ability of bringing Elikus into the world, because if it would be straight from the Eibishter himself into Elam Hazeh, there would be a big gap. Yeah, it would be. So the people here, since there's a gap, we could not have a Hasog in Elikus, because that Hasog has to be Shaykhs to us. If we don't have an Hasog in Elikus, we can't bring Elikus into this world. I'm just saying the words. It needs a lot of Hasbara, but this is the words it says in Chassidus. In order that we should be people should be able to make a dira b'tachtenim. Now, the kasha was like David wants a dira b'tachtenim, make a tachtna and make yourself a house there, make yourself a dira. So he says, no, David didn't want just to have a dira b'tachtenim. He wanted lasses leis bara dira b'tachtenim. There should be people to make it. So that's why he had to make seder ishtalshel, so the people are able to make it. So the bottom line, what we're trying to say here is that the tachlis of everything is that Yidden should do Aveda to make a Dira B'tachtenim. Fine. That's why we say that Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the creation, of everything else. Not only of the human being, not only the creation of a person, of the Adam, is renewed on Rosh Hashanah, because that's the day of his creation, his anniversary. All the creatures, everything that was created in the 6 days of creation, because the whole purpose of their creation is that the Yid should do Aveda with the inyonim of Tachtenim, and through them make a Dira B'tachtenim. So therefore, since their Tachlis is the Adam, so when is their anniversary? When the Adam was created, which is the Ikem HaTorah V'Yosem, the Ikem HaTorah of their creation. Now, when the Rebbe said before that the purpose is B'dei Sha'odam B'avidosei Bohem V'al Yodam, what is Bohem V'al Yodam? Through them, in them, and through them, doesn't only mean Tachtein. It means even taking the Elamis, taking the Yino of Elikus that is Nimshich in the Elamis, a person should be able to take it and bring it into Welt, into Tachteinim. So therefore, if it wouldn't be the Seder Shtalish, there's nothing you could take to bring a Welt, because you're yourself disconnected. Whatever, but the bottom line is that the Tachlis is that the Eden should through their Aveda make a direct Tachteinim. So that's why we consider the anniversary of their creation on the day of the Odom. The Chura, that's not enough. The Rebbe asks, this whole thing that their Tachlis was that a person, a Yid, should do his Aveda, that was the reason for the beginning of the creation. Not only now, that's the purpose. That was the purpose in the beginning. And nevertheless, they were created before. We're saying now, why do we consider the creation now? When is the ischatches of their creation? On the day of Adam, because that's their whole tachlis. So how come it wasn't like that in the beginning? Should have been like that in the beginning too. The day should be created in the day of Adam. If their whole tachlis is Adam, just like now we say there is the ischatches of their creation is when the ischatches of the Adam. So the lechatchila should have been that way. So Rebbe says no. Why then it came forward? That's a partial reason. Then in the beginning when they were created, then it's only a preparation that the Adam should be able to do Aveda. It had to be a hachana to it. What does that mean? He says, the purpose why they were created. The Gemara Taka says, see, order 9, it says, Reis Sanhedrin. The Gemara asks why Taka was Adam edition created the last. Why was everything created before him? So the Gemara answers, the reason why everything was created before him, so that when he is created, he should find everything ready. Imagine if he created be no world. What would he do? So in order for him to be able to use everything, you have to prepare it before. So b'meila, in the beginning, it had to be done before. Because since their creations for the tachlis of Adam, the Adam has to have them, so you have to make them first. But this that every year, it gets nischadish. When we already have the commandment to do the Aveda, Shahodon Kvar Eved Avidosi, we already do it. When we do it already, now it is Bepel. Since it's doing the Aveda, this is the Aveda of Odom, is the Tachlis of everything. Already. Therefore, so their renewal is dependent on the Odom. It had to be so the Odom should have it. But now that it's there already, and that so their whole thing is the Odom Saveda. So now they come together with the Odom Saveda. So we know what the tachlis of the creation is. Since we just finished saying that Rosh Hashanah is when all the elements get renewed in their creation, and in a form where we see in them their tachlis dira b'tachteinim, because we say when is it nischadish, and the day Odom edition of Odom, it means you see in the ischadshas that it's all connected to the Aveda. Because if it wouldn't be connected to the Aveda, why is it nischadish today? It's chadish 5 days before. So in the ischadshas of the Elam Rosh, you see their tachlis. So you must say that even in the mitzvah, also in the mitzvah of what is the mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, which we said everything is for the Aveda. Certainly, whatever the Aveda is on that day, that's even more. That's the Aveda of the day. So certainly in the mitzvah of the day, which is the Aveda of the person being there, the Hiya is Chashushim Tzkol Elements, and that Aveda is the one that causes this renewal of all the elements, which is the union of Shefer. Is bat the inyan zed the Savak of the Shborach Elins not Borach Direpatanim. So in this mitzvah of the day, which is the Aveda of the day, which is the Aveda of the Odom on that day, so obviously it's connected to the elements of that day. In the Aveda of the day, which is Shefer, you could see the concept of Dira B'Tachtenim. How? Mabir was it? Amr Chazal. Chazal says like this. Mitzvah Zayim B'Shefer. The mitzvah of Rosh and the Shefer. This is about Rambam, and the Rambam says like this. Afa Pishet Kiyah Shefer B'Rosh and Gzeres HaKosov, even though the fact that we have to blow Shefer and Rosh Hashanah is a decree of the Torah, Remez Yeshbei. There's a hint. Claimer, what's the hint? Uru Yishayna V'chul. Wake up from your sleep. It's an alarm clock, so to speak. It's a noise. Wake up from your sleep. Wake up from your deep sleep. Wake up from your Narishkeit and get out and wake up. That's what the Rambam says. Two things. He starts off by saying Gzeres HaKosov, and then he says there is a Remez. The Remez is to do Tshuva. L'chore, Rambam says this in Hilchos Tshuva. What is the Rambam trying to tell us here? Why does it say it in Hilchos Tshuva? He wants to tell Leimesh that Kiyah Shefer Remesh has, but when you're not Tshuva, he wants to tell us that Shefer has a Remesh of Tshuva. Because there's another Sikha, but the Rebbe asked Takadekasha, why does he say in Hilchos Tshuva? Should have said in Hilchos Shefer. But anyway, the Rebbe says here that the Rambam wants to tell us the connection between Shefer and Tshuva. So Shefer has a Remesh of Tshuva. But V'lama Magdim Hilchos Tshuva Shet Kiyah Shefer Gzeres HaKosov. The mitzvah itself has nothing to do with tshuva, seemingly. It's a mitzvah of shape like any mitzvah. And the Rambam starts off, this mitzvah is a mitzvah. You got to do the mitzvah no matter what. What's that got to do with tshuva? The tshuva should only have said that there's a remes of tshuva. The signal nachar. In other words, afilu im tim tzaleim shet kiyah shefer yesh batam. He starts off saying there is no reason, but there is a remes. What's the difference if there is a reason or not? Let's say it wouldn't be a gzeres hakosef. It would have a good reason. Al derech mashikosav arasag huve v'avodaram. The Rasag Psad Yagon says 10 reasons for Shefer. Imagine 10 reasons for Shefer. So let's say there is a reason. You can still have the remes of Tshuva. So you find many mitzvahs have a reason and they have Ramozim. The Rambam is saying it's a Gzeres HaKosov, but nevertheless there's a remes. What's the gate to mention the whole Gzeres HaKosov here? So we have to say Shekol Zeu Chidush Shel Rambam. Rambam Adrab wants to tell you this Chidush. We have to two things in Shefer. Gzeres HaKosov and Remesh B'Avedis HaTshuva. It's a Gzeres HaKosov, which means the Torah says so, and that's it. And in addition to that, when we say the Lashon Gzeres HaKosov, always when learning Gemara, it means there's no time. Gzeres HaKosov. A lot of times the Gemara speaks of what's the reason for this, and if there is no reason, say, well, Gzeres HaKosov, that's it. So the Rambam wants to tell us that Shefer Hotnezich has the inyan of Gzeres HaKosov. It's something beyond time. And at the same time, there's a remes also. What is it? What does it mean? It's a Gzeres HaKosov. Isa b'Medrash. It says in Medrash like this. Shlomo HaMelech said, I was trying to understand, to be chochmah, to be smart in understanding the reason for Porah Aduma. But I realized that's far from me. I can't understand it. The Shlomo lei hisik b'chochmosi hatan the mitzvahs Porah Aduma. Shlomo did not understand the Porah. It's a chukah he didn't understand. But Rak Moshe Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'chani Megara Tam Torah. So Moshe Davish said, I'm going to tell you the reason. What does that mean? That Av Shemitzvah Spori Chukas HaTorah, In Shalom Eilam HaTam, even though Porah Adum is a Chukah, which means it's beyond reason, it doesn't mean it's be'etzem beyond tam. That Moshe is galat tam. Must be a tam, but Moshe got the tam. Elamai, it's so deep, most people can understand it. Even Shlomo couldn't understand it. But it does have a tam. But the Rambam says by Shofar is different. But this way the Rambam stresses, before he even mentioned that there's a remes, what does that mean? It doesn't mean the mitzvah skiya shefer yesh la tam. Doesn't mean that shefer has a tam. Why doesn't the Rambam explain the tam? Because you can't reveal it. It's too deep, you can't understand it. The Rambam wants to tell us that's not the pshat. It's something which is beyond reason. Which means not only we don't know the reason, but there is no reason. What is the reason why it has no reason? It's so close connected to the Eibush that it's beyond time, beyond any time. So it comes out, this idea that Kia Shefer is a Gzeres HaKosov, something beyond reason, it's parallel, it's similar to the whole concept of Dira B'Tachteni. We said before, the Eibishter wants a Dira B'Tachteni. We know what he wants, but we have no idea why. And not only we have no idea, there is no reason for it. Now, I have to repeat, there's no reason, so why did he say to do it? It's part of the Eibishter's Etzem. Whatever it is, inside the Eibishter's Etzem, there's a Dira B'Tachteni, that's part of his Etzem. And you can't give a reason. So the same thing with Shefer, the Rambam tells us. Shefer is equivalent to the concept of Dira B'Tachteni. But the Rambam says, nevertheless, there is a remes. Uri Yishayin, wake up from your dream, from your sleep, and do tshuva. The Shefer has a remes that hints to what the Yid has to do. What does he have to do? Uri Yishayin, wake up from your sleep, etc. Is hu yasur mara. Stay away from bad. Go away from being asleep and doing bad things. And the Rambam continues, Shapar Masayich, fix. Make your actions nicer is in your Nasei for good. So here we have like this. We have the Lamaylam and Atam, and then we have the union of Aveda Sodom. Because the Rambam says the Remes of Shefer is the general Aveda that the Yid has to do. That's what the Rambam puts two together. Puts together the fact that Kiyas Shefer is Gzeres HaKosov beyond reason and the Remes. So it means like this. Even though the etzem, the mitzvah itself, is beyond any reason, and it comes from a level beyond time, and in Chassidus, it means it's higher than Giluyim. There's etzem and Giluyim. Again, even people who learn this are familiar in the Inyonim. So at Giluyim, so this is higher, but how do we reach this madrege of Shefer, which is so high, is through our doing Aveda. That's exactly what we just said. Rambam says there are two things in Shefer. There's the etzem of Shefer, which is beyond anything. And then there's the Aveda. Shefer tells you Aveda is what you have to do. Because the two go together. In order to be mamsh such high and connected to such high madrege, it has to come through Aveda. That's what the Rambam is telling us. And that goes together with what we said by Nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu. What did we say by Nisava? Mahusa shel b'chinas Nisava in shel ma'ila mekol tam. The Mahusa, what is the fact that Eibush want? Why did he want it? Beyond reason. Aval adira leo Nisava. But how do you make the dira that he wanted? Now that comes from Avedas Odom. As we said in of Rosh Hashanah, of the Odom, that Rosh Hashanah is all Elomes are Nischadesh Rosh Hashanah because that's the day of Aveda. And that's the tachlis of everything because Dira B'Tachtenim, the Tachtenim through Aveda is the concept. So the etzem Dira B'Tachtenim is beyond any reason. But how do you accomplish that? Through Aveda. And that's why everything is considered the anniversary, the day of Odom, because that's the day of Aveda. This explains Masha mitzvah sayim to Rosh Hashanah b'Shefer. That's why Rosh Hashanah, what's the mitzvah? The Aveda of the day the shofar. כי תכנה ועניונה מכוון ומעשים לכוונוסו ותכליסו של בריאת כל האילומס, שניסה בקדוש ברוך הוא מתחדשת בראש השנה. Because shofar fits. The teichen of shofar is exactly the teichen of Rosh Hashanah. The teichen of Rosh Hashanah is that that's the day that all the elements are mischadesh on that day. Why on that day? Because their tachlis is the dira b'tachtenim, which the Eibishter wanted, and who could make it? Adam. And that's what the day represents, and that's what shofar represents. And that's why the mitzvah of the day is the shofar, because that gives out what the union of Rosh Hashanah is. Okay. Now, so far, it's Rosh Hashanah B'chlal. The Sichos started the second day Rosh Hashanah, when a year when it comes out, the first day is Shabbos, and now the Rebbe continues. If Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, like this year, and we could also say this year, so the union that we explained before, that shofar represents the aveda of making a dira b'tachtenim, is not there. So this union of Tkiyah Shofar, Shayischatches Bo, the Aveda Sodom, that the Ischatches comes because we do Aveda, doesn't happen this year. The Av Shal Shabbos Hasam Pielus and Mamshichas Kol Amshochas V'ischatches Shal the Tkiyah Shofar. Even though Shabbos itself accomplishes this, it's Mamshich all the Amshochas and all the Ischatches that Tkiyah Shofar has to do. Shalochan ain't taken by, that's why we talk a don't blow. Before became as Bedach, we find it in a lot of places in Chassidus, that it does. The Shabbos accomplishes it. True. So it's not the pshat that's missing. It's accomplished. But one special ikra thing is missing. That it should happen to Aveda. Because on Shabbos, the Ischatches happens. But it comes not through Aveda. It comes because of the Eibishter. The Keicha Shel Shabbos Atzmo, the Keich of Shabbos. Shabbos is in Yona Mekatsha v'Kaima. The Gemara says Shabbos is not totally in Aveda. It says the difference in Shabbos and Yontif. Yontif is totally in Yidden. When is the Yontif? Oh, the Torah says Pesach, the 15th day of Nisan. When is the 15th day of Nisan? It's up to the Bezdin to decide. So it's up to the Bezdin. Shabbos is not up to. That's why in Shemon Esrei and the Brochas we say Mekadesh. We say Mekadesh HaShabbos Yisrael V'Azmanim. Why do we say, we're saying the Eibishter makes holy the Yontif, so why do we mention Yisrael? The Gemara says, because who makes the Yontif? Yidden, so we say Mekadesh Yisrael. And Shabbos is first, Shabbos is not dependent on the Yidden, Shabbos is Momayla. So on the Rosh and on Shabbos, everything is accomplished in a fine way, but it's not through Aveda, without Shofar, not doing it. Shabbos is not Aveda, Shabbos comes Momayla Lamata. But Teichen Inyan Tkiyah Shofar are now. And this concept of Shofar, Shachidush Ba, the Aveda Sa'adam, that all this, that the world is Nischadish, has to come through an Aveda, which is in Yonah Shel Rosh Hashanah, Mudgesh B'Kviyah Zu, Rak B'Yem Rosh Hashanah. When do we see it in this Kviyas? On the second day. Shabbat taking Gam B'Kviyah Zu, that will grow even in this Kviyas. But the Aveda Sa'adam, Shochim Kol Yonim Rosh Hashanah, through Aveda. So really, like he started the Sikhet, we know that the second day of Rosh Hashanah is different. It's part of the first. Whatever the first day of Rosh Hashanah is supposed to accomplish is really accomplished in the second day. In a regular year, it's accomplished the first day for Shofar. And this year, it's not accomplished the first day. It's accomplished, but not through Aveda. The real Aveda comes the second day. So what brings out the real meaning of Rosh Hashanah in this Kviyas? On the second day. And he says, but even though in this Kviyas, Shabbos is in place of Shofar in everything, the bottom line is we don't hear the Shofar. The Shofar is blown l'mayla, all kinds of inyan, and the physical ear doesn't hear it. And b'meila, when you hear it, you get nisayir. You know, Shofar is the b'meila, like the Rambam says, or the Pasuk says, how you talk a Shofar b'yir b'amle yechodu. Can you hear Shofar and not get scared? It causes you to get scared. But this year, on the first day, we know in Seichel, all the we learn Chassidus Alts. We just don't, Gashmis, we don't hear it. Shenkin b'yem beis, k'shtaken b'Shofar mamash. The second day, when we actually mamash blow Shofar, arekeiler nishma ba'ozna v'gashmis shalei. Parsha, your physical ear hears this inyan of Shofar, and not only you hear it, the Gamla Azulas, when you blow Shofar, you hear it, but everyone else also hears it. If a goy Lahavdil would pass by when you blow shofar, you'd also hear it. Upeil gam al gufein, it has an effect on your body. It reminds us that the body reminds himself of the fact that this is mamlich, makes David into king. Which is hinted in Shefer, but Rav Gon says it. And he bases it on Mashakosa. The Pasuk says, the trumpets and Shefer you will blow in front of Hashem. Because Rosh Hashanah is the day we crown Hashem. So the Shefer is the expression of the coronation. It's one of the 10 reasons that the Rav Gon says. So the second day, when we blow, we hear it, and it reminds us what Shefer is. But the first day, it's a Zeicher, it's done, but we don't really feel it. And also, Liska Shefer Matan Torah. The second day you hear the Shefer, it reminds you of Matan Torah. Hashayachot Kia Shefer the Rosh Hashanah, which is connected to the Shefer Rosh Hashanah. This is also one of the reasons of Rav Gon. It reminds us of Matan Torah, Melochas Malchus, all kinds of things. And this is Eit Kedim Amre Psuke Shefer. Before we say the Psukim, we remember already. So this is only the second day. Since this is the second day, that shows the mile of the second day in this year. So every year it's on both days. And both days accomplish the same thing. And it's like a Yom Arichta, it's all one thing. But this year, the second day shows the true color, so to speak, of what Rosh Hashanah is all about. And this is the mile in the Kviyas like this year, that Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos. What's the mile? It expresses the mila that you have to do Aveda this year, expresses it more than if Rosh Hashanah comes out any other day of the week. Because we said before, every time Rosh Hashanah expresses that inyan, the importance of Aveda. First of all, the fact that we say that even the Elamis, all the Elamis are Nischadesh on Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because the tachlis of everything is to the Aveda Sa'odam. So B'meila itself shows a mile in Aveda. But this year, we see it even more. And Al Derech HaPshat, he says, Poshet in simple Pshat. V'Eiser Hashonim, all the other years, Harei Iker is Chachas Bo Al De Mitzvahs Hayem. What's the Chachas of the world? How does it happen? Through doing the mitzvah of the day. Al De Aveda Sa'odam B'T Kiyah Shefer. You're Aveda. What's the Aveda? Kiyah Shefer does it every year. Fine. It comes out on Shabbos. This is Chachas happens without an Aveda. So the Chure, a person could stop and say, "Oh, normally we have to do it through Aveda. I see you could do it without Aveda also." We didn't blow Shefer on Shabbos and accomplished everything. But then still we tell the person, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, the world was Nischadesh. And with all the ways and fully, completely. It happened through the Eibishter. What can worse? I mean, the highest thing you could ask him. Happened. The Eibishter himself makes it through Mamayla. Nevertheless, and after all that, after everything the Eibishter did, that's not enough. Now we have to do your Aveda. Comes the second day, you have to blow Shefer. So every other time we see the Maila, we see how that you have to do Aveda. But when do you see something, when you see a contrast? You tell somebody, this is what you have to do. Fine. So you told me, this is important. I know we have to do it. I do it. When you see there's something else, and it also is good, and nevertheless we say, no, that's not enough. Do the other thing, the contrast, then we see the Maila. So every Rosh Hashanah, we don't see that you have to do Aveda versus something that was no Aveda. We just tell you have to do Aveda. But here it shows up. It's telling you after you did accomplished everything. Nevertheless, you still have to do Aveda. Now we see the mile of Aveda. Not the mile, the greatness of the importance of Aveda. That even if you could accomplish everything, it's nicht genug. See, always when we say without regular Rosh, without Shefer, you don't accomplish. So other things like that. Everything has a way to accomplish it. So here you have to accomplish the Shefer. Here we say you did accomplish it. And still you need Aveda. That S shows the Maila, the importance of Aveda. This is the lesson to everyone. That you have to do Aveda is always that. But this year is more stress, the Maila of Aveda. Aveda, the importance and the obligation of doing Aveda is not dafke when there is something missing and you have to fix it. So you do Aveda to fix it up, to fill it up. No. Even if something is fixed and something is complete, and it happened al tzaddikim, happened to tzaddikim, happened to others. Certainly, if it happened to the Eibishter. So what do you need more than that? Nevertheless, still the Eibishter needs the Aveda of the Adam Atachten. So much so, if you don't do the Aveda, ain't shleimus adover, shleimus amitis. The shleimus that you accomplished the day before is not really the shleimus. You have to do Aveda. And that's connected to the beginning of the Sikha, that the second day, the Yachas of the first, that the second day shows that what happened on the first is not enough. So every year, it's the same, the second and the first. But this year, you see that from the second day, that it makes that the shleimus of the first day without Aveda is not shleimus. You have to do Aveda. And I feel like Gan Eden, even Gan Eden, Shebayita Avaya Elikim, Gan Be'eden Mikedem, the Eibishter planted Gan Eden, so the Eibishter did it. No, what do you need more? The Eibishter is the best. Whatever he did is the best. Because it's Erechli is L'Avdol L'Shamra, the Adam. The Pasuk says he put Adam there, L'Avdol L'Shamra, to work it. So it means that Aveda, the Eibishter needs Aveda no matter what. Gam al Pnimius Einyan, Kedol Yosifal. We see that in the Pnimius also. Al Pichsidis. The B'yem Alev, Ki Aliyah Sa'elam is the Pnimius. The first day the Pnimius will be in base B'chitzenius. And the second day B'chitzenius, it means that the first day itself is not accomplished. It only did the B'pnimius. We have to also do it in Chitzenius, and that could only happen through Aveda. That means we see even in the Chassidish Pshat that the second day accomplishes something the first day didn't. And on this year, we see when do we accomplish that second thing, Tafke through Aveda. Even though before it was accomplished without Aveda, and you still need Aveda. The Kvi is the Yontif Shrosh and Chol Shabbos, and this Kvi is that Yontif comes out on Shrosh and comes out on Shabbos, with Geshes Yesech Shivas Aveda Sodom. We see even more the importance of Aveda Sodom. The Yom Aleph, the Nasa Yonim Ad Shabbos and Mekacha V'Kaima, on the first day, when all the things happen, but through Mekacha V'Kaima, it's holy by itself from Shabbos. It's all equivalent to Shefer. The Maisa is we don't in Gashmias see the Shefer. Ein Bircha Shefer. There's no Brocha Shefer. There's no Shechiyona. We don't make Shechiyona Shefer. We don't have to do it because it's not there. So we need to accomplish the Gashmias of it. It doesn't on the first day. Shenkel Machrosei, but the next day, Kishodim Tekeya b'Shefer. The next day when you blow Shefer, the Mavorech. So you make the Brocha, and what is a Brocha? Chassidus. Brocha is Amshocha. You mamshich Kitchonu v'mitzvesa v'tzvonim. It is holy with his mitzvahs. V'tzivonu loshen tzapse v'chibur. You connected us. So the second day we get the real connection. So I believe this is connected to what he said before, that Al Chassidus, the second day is the Aliyah Sa'elamis in Chetzenius. Chetzenius means pushed in a superficial way, in a Gashmazik way. The second day, yes, the inyan of the mitzvah and all the inyanim that we accomplish is in the Gashmazik way. You see the Shefer, you hear the Shefer, you blow, you make a bracha, and you make a bracha that Lashon Tzivon on the first day you didn't make Tzivon on Shefer, even though the inyan accomplished. And here you make it. We don't have to have it. Every other year we also make a Shechiyona the second day. But it's as a nish as a poshet. There's not shita that you don't have to make. It's really hamshah to the first. So therefore we have a Beket Chodesh. But this year, since we didn't make Shechiyona on the first day, like Shefer, we don't have to have a Beket Chodesh. Ki mevorech bepashtes. On the second day this year, bepashtes, we say Shechiyonu, v'kimonu, v'giyonu, lizman hazeh. And the Rebbe says, you made us live and you made us exist and you made us reach this time. That's when we say Zman Hazeh, we mean like this year more than other years to the end of Rosh Hashanah. That we make a bracha on Shefer Zman Hazeh. The other years we also make it. Then we can't stress the Zeh so much because yesterday you also had it. But here it's Zman Hazeh is Nimshech Dafke the second day. And this is the Maila of Rosh and Shechol is B'Shabbos, the Maila of the second day of Rosh Hashanah over the first, which is a Chiddush because the first day is Be'emes Midaraisa, the second day is Midarabonon, and we all know that the Raisa is a higher Madrega than the Rabbanon, but nevertheless, we see that in Rosh Hashanah it's different. I'm not saying La Halacha, the second day is higher than first, but in Bira Inyan, of what Rosh Hashanah represents, the Inyan of Aveda Sa'odam, the Tachlis is Elam Hazeh, and that's the tachlis of all the Elamis to the Aveda, that we see the second day of Rosh Hashanah. A lot of things need beer here, but everyone look for the beer.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Good enough, everyone.